Hello everyone, and welcome back to another video, where I have something a bit different. The title of this video is Making New Railway Series Books, and while I'm not exactly making new books, what I am doing is taking episodes from the TV show and grouping them together into what I think would make a coherent railway series book. I've included all the non-railway series stories from seasons 1 to 7, and then 17 to 21 plus the Michael White episodes, with 7 exceptions. Those being Thomas's Christmas Party and Thomas and the Missing Christmas Tree, as I didn't think those would fit nicely into anything. Rusty to the Rescue, as that would just be replacing Bluebells of England. Faulty Whistles, as that's basically a retelling of Mike's Whistle. The 3 episodes on the Small Railway, as they are railway series stories. And Thomas and the Royal Engine, as again, I have no idea where to put it. I had 2 main rules when putting this together. The first was that all books had to be between 3 and 5 stories long. I tried to keep it to 4, but sometimes had to go under or over by 1 to either match the episode count, or there wasn't illogical episodes to either leave out or include to make it 4. And the other rule was what episodes I would have grouped together. I decided all the episodes from Season 3 had to go with other Season 3 episodes, Season 5 and 6 could be grouped together, Season 7 was on its own, Seasons 17 to 19 grouped together, as were 20, 21 and the Michael White episodes. So there were 13 original episodes of Season 3, so that meant 2 books of 4 and a book of 5. The first was fairly easy to put together, and I've called this book For Farquhar Branch Engines, which consists of Thomas Gets Bumped, Trust Thomas, Thomas Percy and the Dragon, Thomas Percy and the Post Train, and Thomas and Percy's Christmas Adventure. This was the Thomas-centric book of Season 3, with the first 2 episodes being about Thomas and Bertie, and the next 3 about Thomas and Percy. The next was also quite easy to put together, which I have called Boastful Engines, and just a warning, the names aren't going to get any more imaginative, consisting of No Joke for James, Percy and the Fruitful Day, Diesel Does It Again, and All at Sea. This book starts out about James, and the second story transitions the focus to Percy and then Duck. The last Season 3 book was the easiest to put together, on the basis I only had 4 stories left. In my desperation to find any theme connecting them at all, I've called this book Helpful Engines, and it consists of Edward, Trevor and the Really Useful Party, Henry's Forest, One Good Turn and Heroes. The second half of the book fits together nicely, not so much the first half, but I had to get them in somewhere. Now we go on to the Seasons 5 and 6 books. The first I've called Cranky the Crane, with the stories Cranky Bugs, Horrid Lorry, Salty Secret, and No Sleep for Cranky. Cranky Bugs introduces a character. Horrid Lorry, well, not really about him, does show his dislike of the steam engines, and that his rudeness hasn't quite left him yet. Salty Secret takes the spotlight away from Cranky, but introduces Salty, who then plays a major role in the final story, No Sleep for Cranky, where Cranky gets his comeuppance and learns his lesson. The next book from these 2 seasons is Big Engine Gordon again, with the stories Gordon Takes a Tumble, Gordon and the Gremlin, Thomas and the Rumours, and A Better View for Gordon. No real overreaching storyline like there was with the Cranky book, but all 4 episodes focusing on Gordon, is ending with a stellar episode. Then there's the book which I've called The Humans of Sodor, featuring Lady Hat's Birthday, Sir Topham Hatt's Holiday, Thomas Percy and Old Slow Coach, Happy Ever After, and Make Someone Happy. The first 2 stories featuring on the Fat Control and his family, and the last 2 on Mrs. Kindly and her family, and the middle one introducing Old Slow Coach, ready for the next story. Then there's Small Engine Percy again, consisting of Middle Engine, Percy's Chocolate Crunch, A Surprise for Percy, and Put Upon Percy. I like to think that if this was written as a Railway series book, as opposed to 4 separate episodes, they would have formed a tight storyline. Percy gets blamed for something that wasn't his fault, then has a genuine accident, then chases a runaway train, and then finally saves himself and his crew from an avalanche and is respected again. The next book I have called Spooked Engines, consisting of Haunted Henry, James and the Trouble with Trees, Toby and the Flood, and Toby's Discovery. Again, if this was a Railway series book, I think it could have been woven together really well. While Trees and Flood aren't really spooky episodes, they're just intense. They could have been rewritten slightly differently to give them a spooky edge, which would give Toby a reason to be spooked out in Toby's Discovery if 3 mysterious events had all happened on the island very recently. The next book I've made is simply Narrow Gauge Engines, with the episodes Duncan, Rusty Saves the Day, Duncan Gets Spooked, Rusty in the Boulder, and Snow. These 5 episodes are grouped together because they're the 5 narrow gauge stories from these 2 seasons. Simple as. The next one has the slightly misleading name of Road Vehicles, with the episodes Harvey to the Rescue, Elizabeth the Vintage Lorry, Jack Jumps In, and A Friend in Need. Yes, the first one probably shouldn't be in this book, but I didn't know where else to put it, so it went in here. The next book I've called More About Percy the Small Engine, with the episodes Percy in the Horton Mine, Scaredy Engines, Jack Frost, and Thomas Percy and the Squeak. Again, if these were written with the intention of forming a flowing narrative, I think they could have worked really well. Percy in the Horton Mine has Donald and Douglas set Percy up for a fall, and he obliges and all the engines think him silly. Scaredy Engines and Jack Frost have him spook Thomas and James, and Thomas Percy and the Squeak regains him the respect of all the engines as he carries Alicia Botti. Then I have Branchline Engines again, with the episodes The Fogman, Thomas the Jet Engine, A Bad Day for Harold the Helicopter, and It's Only Snow. Not much linking these other than they're all about Thomas, Percy, or Toby. The next book I have called Diesel Engines, with the episodes Buffer Bother, Double Teething Troubles, The World's Strongest Engine, and Stepney Gets Lost. Buffer Bother sets up Bill and Ben, who are then carried over into the next story where we meet Derek, and then we see the return of Diesel and first appearance of the sinister Ari and Bert. There's not much linking these other than the fact that 3 of the stories have diesels in. Next is More About Branchline Engines, with the stories Bar, Oliver's Find, Busy Going Backwards, and Toby Had a Little Lamb. Again, a little connecting these, apart from the fact they all focus on characters working on branch lines. And the final book from these 2 seasons is Mainline Engines again, with the stories By George, James in a Red Balloon, Twin Trouble, Something in the Air, and Edward the Very Useful Engine. Again, very little connected these, apart from they all take place on the main line. The first book from Season 7 was probably the easiest in the whole video to group together, being Fergus the Traction Engine, with the episodes Bill, Ben and Fergus, Fergus Breaks the Rules, and Salty Stormy Tale. 3 episodes focusing on Fergus that fit together nicely, and not really any others that could come into this book. Then I have 6 Little Engines, featuring 3 of the 6 narrow gauge engines this season, with the Refreshment Lady's Tea Shop, the Runaway Elephant, and Trusty Rusty. These 3 stories are together because I had to split the narrow gauge episodes into 2 groups of 3, and the other 3 fitted nicely together. The other narrow gauge book is Scarlowy Railway Engines, with The Old Bridge, Rheneas and the Roller Coaster, and The Grand Opening. The reason for grouping these 3 is that The Old Bridge and Rheneas and the Roller Coaster both have Scarlo and Rheneas acting quite immature, so having them take place around the same time when they were still young makes sense. As for any times we see other engines that aren't Scarlowy and Rheneas, just ignore them. And the reason The Grand Opening is here is that I've treated this as a flashback book, similar to Very Old Engines from the Railway series, so it makes the most sense for there to be a big event about to happen that causes them to flashback, and The Grand Opening, again, makes the most sense. The next book I've called New Engines, and, as the name suggests, features the opening episodes of New Engines this season, being Emily's New Coaches, Peace and Quiet, The Spotless Record, and Something Fishy. Then I have more about Gordon the Big Engine, with the stories Edward's Brass Band, James and the Queen of Sodor, Best Dressed Engine, and Gordon and Spencer. The first story being here because it had nowhere else to go, The other 3 are all great Gordon episodes, but there isn't much of a link beyond that. The next book is even more about Branchline Engines, featuring What's the Matter with Henry, Not So Hasty Puddings, Percy Gets It Right, and 3 Cheers for Thomas. Again, not much connecting these, apart from they all have either Thomas or Percy in the spotlight role. And the final Season 7 book is Western and Tram Engines, as a poor attempt at a title to fit the remaining 5 episodes of Toby's Windmill, Bad Day at Castle Lock, Harold and the Flying Horse, Snow Engine, and Baldy Rides Again, which had to be shoehorned together somehow. Now we get on to the Seasons 17 to 19 books, and the first one is one that was basically a ready-made book, being Dinos and Discoveries, with the stories Marion and the Dinosaur, Samson at Your Service, Samson Sent for Scrap, and Millie and the Volcano, which is dedicated to introducing Samson. The next book I've called Streamline Engines, with the episodes Calm Down Caitlin, Bill or Ben, Not So Slow Coaches, and Last Train for Christmas. Focusing on Connor and Caitlin, the first 2 episodes introduce each of them, and the next 2 do fun stuff with their characters. Then I have Hero with a Japanese engine, consisting of Helping Hero, No More Mr. Nice Engine, and Henry's Hero. These episodes being the 3 from these seasons to have Hero as a prominent character. The next book is Luke the Irish Engine, featuring Luke's new friend, The Switch, Duncan and the Grumpy Passenger, and Duncan the Humbug. Luke has a main role in the first 2 episodes and a prominent role in the final one, with Duncan taking the spotlight for the latter half of the book. Then there's Stephen the Rocket Engine, with the episodes The Afternoon Tea Express, The Phantom Express, Percy's Lucky Day, and Slow Stephen. Stephen gets a prominent role in all 4, with Percy also being prominent in the middle. I've got the next book, China Clay Engines, including the episodes Marion and the Pipe, No Steam Without Cold, Timothy and the Rainbow Truck, and No Help at All. While the latter 3 episodes are essentially all the same when you think about it, they do still all connect together quite well. The next book I've called Duck the Great Western Engine, with the stories The Thomas Way, Duck in the Water, Duck and the Slip Coaches, Toad's Adventure, and Toad and the Whale. While the last 2 episodes are more about Toad and Oliver, and this book probably should have been called something like Little Western Engines, there's not been a book called Duck the Great Western Engine, so I couldn't turn down this opportunity. Then I have Gerald the Alligator Engine, with the episodes Missing Gator, Toad's Bright Idea, and Long Lost Friend. As the 3 episodes with Gator in, they kinda had to go in a book together, and no other episode fitted well with them. The next book is Brendam Docks Engines, consisting of Kevin's Cranky Friend, Away from the Sea, A Cranky Christmas, and Salty All at Sea. 2 episodes focusing each on the Cranky and Salty, a nice book about the Brendam gang. Even more about Thomas the Tank Engine is next, featuring No Snow for Thomas, Thomas the Quarry Engine, Thomas and the Emergency Cable, and Reds vs Blues. Not much connecting these, other than they're all about Thomas, and it actually seems to be in his original character for all 4 of them. My next book is Search and Rescue Engines, with the episodes Too Many Fire Engines, Rocky Rescue, and Wild Water Rescue. Again, as the 3 episodes about the Search and Rescue crew, they kinda had to be in a book together. I have Paxton the Diesel Engine next, with The Lost Puff, The Missing Christmas Decorations, Disappearing Diesels, and Diesels Goes to Christmas. While only the first and third episodes have Paxton as the main character, the others all do still feature him, and I wanted to name a book after Paxton, as he's one of my favourite characters to come out of animated Thomas. The next book is even more about Gordon the Big Engine, with Gordon Runs Dry, The Frozen Turntable, and Old Reliable Edward. Again, just 3 episodes with focus on Gordon. Then I have Green Engine Henry again, with Henry Spots Trouble, Flatbeds of Fear, The Beast of Sodor, and The Smelly Kipper. Well, I don't think I'd like this book very much, as Henry is too wimpy in the first 3 episodes, and all the humour that makes me tolerate The Beast of Sodor is in the music and would be lost in a book. The final episode is very good, and they all focus on Henry, so they had to go together. I've called my next book Thomas Helps Out, with the episodes Who's Jeffrey, Very Important Sheep, Lost Property, and Thomas the Babysitter. 4 episodes focused on Thomas, with the latter 3 all showing Thomas' caring, more helpful side. The next book is called Tram Engine Toby again, although only 2 episodes are actually about him, with Signals Crossed, The Perfect Gift, Wayward Winston, and The Truth About Toby. The first and last episodes focus on Toby. The Perfect Gift is here because Percy and Toby work on the same branch line, and Wayward Winston is here because it had to go somewhere. My next book is Thomas and Bertie, and no, it's not a whole book dedicated to the Season 1 episode. It has the stories Two Wheels Good, Thomas's Shortcut, and The Other Side of the Mountain, all episodes where Thomas and Bertie share the spotlight. Then there's more about really useful engines, with Scruff's Makeover, Steamy Stafford, Den and Dart, and Not Now Charlie, which is just 4 episodes about random characters thrown together as they had to go somewhere. The next book is Philip the Diesel Box Cab, with the episodes Gone Fishing, Spencer's VIP, The Little Engine Who Raced Ahead, and Philip to the Rescue. While the first 2 episodes had nothing to do with Philip, again, they had to go somewhere, and the last 2 focus on Philip specifically, so I sort of see this as similar to Tramway Engines. And the last book from these 3 seasons I've called Emily the Emerald Engine, with the episodes Emily Saves the World, Best Dressed Engine, Snow Place Like Home, and Goodbye Fat Controller. The first 2 episodes focus on Emily, Snow Place Like Home has Emily in a role that's fairly key to the plot, and the last episode has Emily in it, I guess. And now we're on to the last set of books, which comes from seasons 20, 21, and the Michael White episodes. The first one is Daisy the Diesel Railcar, with the episodes Ryan and Daisy, The Way She Does It, The Railcar and the Coaches, and The Missing Breakdown Train. The first 3 all having Daisy as a main character, and the last featuring her, all episodes from season 20 written by Davey Moore. Then there's Harvey and Daisy, which consists of Stuck in Gear, A Most Singular Engine, Springtime for Diesel, and Daisy's Perfect Christmas. I guess I could have included Diesel's name in the title as well, but I didn't want it to get too crowded, and Harvey and or Daisy have a prominent role in all 4 episodes. Henry and Edward is the next book, featuring Henry Gets the Express, Henry in the Dark, A Shed for Edward, PA Problems, and Hunt the Truck. 4 good episodes plus the infamous one, all focused on the 2 engines about to be written out. After that, there's more about Toby the Tram Engine, consisting of Toby's New Friend, Hasty Hannah, Free Steam Engine Scruff, and Heart of Gold. A nice 4 episodes, starting with Toby making a new friend, followed by 2 episodes where, let's be honest, Toby isn't really in character, and ending with a great episode where Toby proves himself. I've called the next book Red Engine James Again, with the episodes The Fastest Red Engine on Sodor, An Engine of Many Colours, Pouty James, and All in Vain. While I do think Pouty James would have to be rewritten slightly, this can produce a nice flowing book. James starts by suffering a horrible accident that, while in the works, has nightmares about his red coat being taken away that, when the Fat Controller starts getting annoyed at him again, he starts behaving and sees the error in his ways, which leads into All in Vain, which shows James doing his best to be better, and for the most part succeeds, but he's still James and gets all worked up over a tiny scratch. The next book is Railboats and Zeppelins. One thing that hampered me a bit is that you often get 2 episodes that fit together nicely in the Brenner era, but it stops there. Whether that's because Mattel thought any arc lasting more than 2 episodes would be too confusing for kids, or they didn't allow any character other than Thomas to have more than 2 episodes a season as the main character, I don't know. But that often meant I had to group 2 seemingly unconnected stories to make a book. This book has Engine of the Future, Hugo in the Airship, Skiff and the Mermaid, and Blown Away. The first half features on Hugo and the second half on Skiff. But Skiff appears in Hugo in the Airship, so I've used that to justify the 2 halves being in the same book. Then there's Industrial Engines, with Bradford the Brake Van, Saving Time, Cranky at the End of the Line, and Ukraine on the Dock. A 2-parter with Samson and Bradford, followed by a 2-parter with Cranky and Carly. Not very connected, other than they are both kinda industrial in setting. We have 5 books remaining. The first of which I've called Ulfstead Castle Engines, featuring The Christmas Coffee Pot, Over the Hill, The Runaway Engine, The Great Little Railway Show, and Cautious Connor. While the first 2 is a direct 2-parter, the only real connection the rest of the episodes have is that they all take place at Ulfstead Castle. I've called the next book Emily and Thomas, with the episodes Emily in the Middle, Dowager Hat's Busy Day, Unscheduled Stops, Free the Roads, and Buckled Tracks and Bumpy Trucks. The first 2 stories focus on Emily, then it shifts to Thomas, Bertie and Bulgy, and the last story is there because of my classic argument, it has to go somewhere. The next book is Winter Engines, with the stories Terence Breaks the Ice, The Big Freeze, Love Me Tender, Letters to Santa, and Confused Coaches. The link with these 5 being that they're all great episodes that take place during winter. Diesel Engines again is next, featuring Cindy Sings, Diesel and the Ducklings, and Philip's Number. The only real link between these 3 stories is that they all focus on diesel engines. And the last book is called Jack and the Pack, consisting of Out of Sight, Deep Trouble, and Mucking About. 3 pack-centric stories, so an easy 3 to put together. So those are my Railway series books based on TV episodes, which, when you add on to the Wilbert and Christopher books, takes it to a total of 96 books. Overall, I'd say my favourite ones are Cranky the Crane, Streamline Engines, Offset Castle Engines, and Winter Engines, and my least favourite being Diesel Engines, Green Engine Henry again, and Diesel Engines again. Thanks for watching everyone, I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and comment down below which of these books is your favourite. But that's all for today, I will see you next time.